Hi Capricorns, welcome to your February 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us. Normally that's a 10 card spread, but you guys got some extra cards in a few of the positions. And then we also have some Oracle cards to go through at the end and a mudra card, so there's definitely a lot to get to. So we'll go through the cards one by one, starting with the main spread. And in the main situation, we have the Five of Cups. So this is actually a Scorpio card. It represents the first 10 degrees of Scorpio. So some of you could be dealing with this Scorpio, certainly. Maybe you had a falling out with a Scorpio, let's say. But beyond that, if it's just the energy itself, it's almost self-explanatory, right? The person does not look very happy. They're looking at those spilled cups. There's still two standing behind them, but at least it appears that they might not even be aware that those are still there. They're just so focused on what spilled, right? So, to me, this is saying it usually represents being stuck in the past in some way. So, in other words, okay, you're so fixated on what might have went wrong. There's the opportunity for things to go right ahead of you. Like if we look at they're pointed to the left, that would represent the past. To the right would be the future, which could mean, maybe there's an opportunity to reconcile, to fix the situation, or even just to say, okay, yeah, this happened, but there's still good things in the connection and move forward from there. Usually we do jump to love sometimes when we see the cup cards, but it could be any other area. It could be finances as well, friendships, creative projects, could be almost anything. We'll see what it pertains to more as we go through the rest of the spread. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Two of Swords. All right, can't get it. There we go. So the Two of Swords is actually a Libra card. It represents the first 10 degrees of Libra. But, I think this is more of an energetic thing, saying that you're still undecided about, maybe you are undecided about, okay, do I just want to accept that this is what happened and move on, right? Or do I want to maybe try to fix things, right? With the Two of Cups there. So saying, you might be leaning towards saying, well, I'm just going to dwell on what went wrong and not even worry about potentially moving forward with this anymore, right? Letting it die. Or just deciding, okay, maybe I will turn around and try to get things back on track. But, this being the challenger obstacle position too, this could just be saying that you're trying to be logical about it, like with the water there and the moon. This could represent turning your back on your emotions, trying to make a logical, rational decision. And it could be a challenge for you because right now you're just so, fixated on what happened. And we'll get more context on what it could be pointing to as we go along throughout the rest of the spread, because in the foundation position, we had quite a few cards come up. So we had the Seven of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Four of Cups. So that's a lot of energies there, right? But what I'm really feeling is, the Seven of Cups first. To me, if we look at these cups, we can clearly see them, right? We could see what's in them, and for us, we could easily decide if we wanted to touch them or not go anywhere near them. But if we look at this person, they're completely in the dark, right? So to me, that represents not seeing things clearly. So that could be what you were dealing with. Maybe you had a lot of options on the table in some area. Like I said, it could have been job offers, could have been a relationship, obviously. And maybe because you couldn't see things clearly, you might have been aware of that. So you might have said, you know what, I'm going to hold off until I do, right? Which is totally a rational, logical way to handle the situation. This is actually a Capricorn card too, represents the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. The time I'm recording this, the sun has basically just moved into Aquarius, so this could just be pointing to the timeline. For some of you, it could be the placement that you have in the last 10 degrees. Maybe your sun, rising sign, or your moon is in those degrees, so that might point to you more as representing your energy. But You know, some people will say that this is a closed off energy, like a miser card, but I don't necessarily see it that way as much as I think that this is just someone that's really thinking over where do I want to invest my resources, whether it be money, energy, or time, right? So that's really what I see there. And then maybe, you know, you were even possibly enjoying getting all those offers, right? Enjoying being single and not really committing to anything, just going with the motions. That's usually what I see with this card. This, you know, it's often referred to like the single lady card, for example. But, you know, this is a Virgo card, by the way, middle 10 degrees. But, you know, just being in that energy. And then the Four of Cups is like, you know, you're getting those offers coming in and you're deciding, you know, you're just dismissing them, right? Maybe because you were enjoying being single, you're like, nope, this offer's not good enough, this offer's not good enough. And, you know, what might have happened though is you might have gone a little bit too far with that, you know, because maybe now you are looking at those offers and realizing, oh, wait, maybe I should have taken that offer, right? That's certainly a possibility because we have the 4 there and then the 5 in the main situation. So, you know, the foundation could point to what led to you being in the situation currently, for example. So maybe that's what we have going on there. In the past position, we have the Sun card, and we have the 5 of Swords. So the first thing that came to mind with me with this was maybe you were just playing hard to get, right? Because the reason I say that is we see the kid there. It's like a playful, youthful type energy, right? So maybe it started off as you just playing hard to get. You're like, okay, I have all these options. I'm enjoying these options coming in, right? And then, you know, maybe it just might have backfired at some point. You know, it might have escalated into something that you weren't expecting. Um, you know, because this card here, what I say is this is always to me, this is these arguments, everyone's had them at least once in their life, where basically before you even get into the argument, you know that nothing good is going to come out of it, but you still have it anyway. So what can happen is when all the parties have that perspective, you know, you go into it knowing that nothing productive is going to be accomplished. The only thing left to do at that point then is to win it, right? So usually it just escalates and gets a little ugly at some point. So, you know, maybe it was just something where he thought you were just playing hard to get, and maybe things might have went a little too far and backfired, basically. Um, that's the vibe that I'm getting there. Uh, Especially with if we look at all these cards in context, because even the swords pointing to that, you know, could be saying that, you know, you were trying to be in that energy and then it might have blown up in your face at some point. All right, in the present position, we had 3 cards come up here. We have the 9 of Cups, the Hangman in reverse. So it looks like it's in the upright, but this is actually the way that it would normally look. And then we had the Page of Swords as well. So the way that I'm seeing this is, you know, maybe you've come out of that fog now. For example, Venus was in your 12th house. Well, actually, it still is in your 12th house at the time I'm recording this. I think the first couple days into February, it's going to move into your sign. So maybe with Venus being in your 12th, that was what, you know, led to that fog. Sometimes Venus in the 12th too could represent, you know, you might be crushing on someone, but you don't express it. So that could even be the other person, for example. Maybe you had another person that had a lot of suitors, and you knew you wanted to, you know, pursue something with them, but maybe with the Venus energy in your 12th, you might have waited a bit too long, and now you're like, oh, great, you know, I think I messed up. That could be what was going on there too. So let me just at least mention that angle. But with the 9 of Cups here now, to me, in the present, this represents you having an idea of what you want now. And then after that, we have the Hangman reversed. And the Hangman represents seeing something from a different perspective. So for this to be in the reverse now, to me, that shows that you're coming out of that energy. Again, pointing to, you know, maybe more clarity than you had when you had the 7 of Cups energy going. And then the Page of Swords could be you wanting to communicate to the person now. So, you know, when I was doing a reading for someone about a month or two ago, And I had this card, and I was looking at those trees in the corner, and I was saying to them, I was like, I'd never noticed it before, but it really resembles, to me anyway, it resembles the Facebook F. So for some of you, you might be doing this on social media. Certainly, that's a possibility. Maybe at least you're checking out their social media to say, oh, wait, are they with someone now? Because maybe this happened a while ago. Who knows what the timeline is exactly, like how far back this goes. But maybe like, oh, are they with someone now? You know what I mean? Or if it was an actual argument type situation that happened, you might be like, oh, let me just see if they're still pissed off. You might be thinking about sending them a message, but you're a little bit hesitant. But yeah, that's the main energies that I'm getting with these. It's like you have an idea what you want now. The only warning I would give then is if that's the case, if you've already come out of that Five of Swords energy, don't come off as smug necessarily if you really do want to be with the person and fix things with them, because if we look at their facial expression and their arms crossed, that closed off body language, that's the one negative way it could come across, like, oh, I know what I bring to the table, this is what I have to offer. What do you have to offer me? You know what I mean? Which could be like a standoffish energy. Or if you want that person to pursue you and that's the energy you're giving off, if it comes off the wrong way, they might think, oh, well, this person's obviously good to go. I can't offer them anything. So that could be what's at play there. In the near future position, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is definitely a supportive energy for you. Wheel of Fortune represents Jupiter for me, and Jupiter is actually in your 12th house right now too. So again, with that mental fog type thing that I was saying too, maybe that's what was happening. Jupiter, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually squaring Neptune right about now too. So that could have even added to the fog. Neptune rules the 12th house, which is Pisces, and this I view this as a Pisces energy. It's kind of like a Pluto and Neptune energy for me, blended together. But that could be what happened. Maybe with that Jupiter being in your 12th house, that just exacerbated the issue of the mental fog and not, being open and expressive with what you wanted. But now, like I said, Venus moving into your first house early in the month of February, that should really help in that regard. And that might even be what this is pointing to, the Wheel of Fortune saying that the timing wasn't right then for whatever reason. And now, when Venus does move into your sign, and like I said, you're going to have Mars moving into Taurus around the middle of February too, which is going to be supportive because that's a fellow Earth sign, and it's the 5th house for you, and that's it's a house that's also seen as love and just more romantic, not necessarily like marriage type connections, but so maybe that's the boost that you need, and that's what it's saying there. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Six of Pentacles. So to me, this looks like, trying to restore balance. So like I said, if it was you who actually was, maybe playing hard to get, and then it might have backfired on you, this might be you, again, like I said, with that energy trying to reconcile. Or again, maybe like I said, if it wasn't necessarily you were playing hard to get, it's that you had your eye on someone, but you never told them that. Right? So maybe it wasn't about people were making offers to you and you were turning them down. Maybe you were waiting on making an offer to someone and you might have felt like you waited too long. And now you're finally coming out of that energy and you're making an offer to them now. But this is definitely a good energy to have either way. This represents the middle 10 degrees of Taurus. I don't necessarily think that Mars is going to get into those degrees because it moves a little slower. So if it gets there the middle of the month, it'll probably still be in the first 10, but maybe right when March starts, it'll be in those degrees. But I see this more, like I said, as just trying to rebalance things. Obviously, it looks like something went sideways somewhere. Whether, like I said, it's a love relationship, a friendship. Maybe this was even, especially with Pentacles coming up here, maybe it was job offers, right? Maybe there was a job offer placed and you told them you wanted to wait on it, right? And then maybe you feel like, oh, did I wait too long? Trying to think if I'm getting anything else with that card, but no, I think that's about it. So, I'm getting more of a relationship vibe overall, but it definitely could be finances as well. Good thing is, in a position of the environment, we have the Justice card. So, this is a major arcana card for Libra. Usually with the major arcanas, it doesn't necessarily have to represent an actual person, but it's certainly possible that some of you could be dealing with a Libra. But to me, I view this more as the energy. So this could just be saying, again, especially with the Wheel of Fortune right next to it, this could just be saying that the energy supports you restoring the balance, restoring justice, if you will. So that's why, if we look at the similarities between those cards, even though this is Libra and this is clearly a Pentacle card, we see the scale there. So this is like, okay, the energy supports you actually making that action, that forward movement towards this person and saying, hey, I want to restore balance, right? That's the most likely way I see that playing out. And with this in the environment too, though, regardless, it says no matter how this goes, it should be considered fair. Maybe you might not perceive it as fair, but at least karmically it would be considered fair. So something to keep in mind there. I don't see anything too bad being done from either side necessarily. It seems like it really could have been more of a misunderstanding than like malicious intent. So I don't see anything too bad playing out either way. But with the Justice card there, it just says that justice will be served in that regard. In the hopes or fears position, you guys got the Five of Pentacles. So I refer to this as the being left out in the cold card. The artwork is pretty self-explanatory in that regard, right? It doesn't look like a very comfortable energy to deal with. I actually view this as a mixture of Venus and Saturn energy too. So this might be saying that when Venus passes through Saturn, again, as it goes through your sign in Capricorn, maybe that's going to actually help turn this around for you. But I would say that just keep in mind, this is the hopes or fears position. I'm going to assume, obviously, this is a fear for you guys that you'd be left out in the cold, right? What happens if I make the offer and they turn it down, right? Maybe that's where you were in that position to begin with. But what I say with this position, whether it's a good card or a bad card, it doesn't necessarily point to it actually playing out in the month. It's just that it's an energy that's on your mind. And another thing I should point out too is I'm looking at the Hermit card at the bottom of the deck, and that's a Virgo card. And the fact that this represents actually the middle 10 degrees of Pisces. And that's actually where Neptune is right now. And I mentioned that connection there earlier. And then we have the Hangman. This is actually a Pisces card for me as well. So there will be a new full moon, in Virgo. Right when the sun moves into Pisces. So maybe that's just pointing to a timeline as well of when you might make that offer. At that point, though, once that full moon happens in Virgo, you'll basically have the moon in Virgo, you'll have Mars in Taurus, and you have Venus in your sign. So, Earth energy all the way there. The full moon's only going to last, that's a day or two transit, really, but just something to keep in mind there as far as a timeline. Maybe that's when you decide to move forward. Because in the outcome position, we see the moon again. So that's certainly a possibility, pointing to the full moon. And we have the Six of Cups. So again, there definitely seems to be a theme of things going sideways. Now we have the Four of Cups in the foundation underneath these cards. We have the Five of Cups, Six of Cups, Seven of Cups. So you guys are all over the cup energy. The Nine of Cups, almost forgot about that one. So there's tons of cups energy here, which is why I'm feeling like for the majority of you, it probably is love. And if that's the case, like I said, between Venus going into your sign and Mars moving into your fifth, you can't really get much more supportive energies to fix things if that really is what happens. So something to keep in mind there. The moon sometimes could represent not seeing things too clearly, again, though, pointing back to the energies we've already dealt with. But I'm not necessarily seeing it that way this time, just because, like I said, it seems like you moved away from that energy. You know, it seems like you definitely were there at one point. Maybe even at the time of recording this, you're still there. But to me, this is pointing more to, with the symbolism I saw there with the Virgo, because the full moon basically is going to be when the moon is opposite the sun. So, moon in Virgo looking at the sun in Pisces, the moon here with the Six of Cups, that might be when you guys actually do reconcile. That's the main vibe that I'm getting there. But yeah, we'll see what the Oracle cards add to the spread, see if they give us any more insight. So, first card you guys got was Breathed. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 29, in case that has any significance for you. And I'll read the messages from that. Okay, it says essential meanings: patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, meditation, trust. The Oracle's message: patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness, and miracles will appear. You know, one thing that actually stood out to me is kind of funny there is it says humans cannot exist without drawing breath. And that made me think of the fact that the sun just went into Aquarius because it says allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body. So maybe that's just saying, as far as like I was saying earlier with the timing thing, you know, maybe now with the sun in Aquarius, you're actually going to be able to get the forward momentum that you felt was a bit held up for you. Because like I said, even though the sun was in your sign, you know, there were some tense aspects because of Mars, and like I said, Mars right early in the month is still going to be making a tough aspect with Pluto in your sign, but then from there, you'll get a lot more supportive energies with Venus moving in your sign, Mars moving into Taurus, the full moon's in Virgo, so the tide should shift at that point for you. All right, the relationship message says, don't be in too much of a hurry right now. The heart needs time to open. Take a breath and let nature take its course. Release constriction and anxiety, for there is no need for tension. Savor the moment, and the waiting won't prove difficult. Your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. Patience pays off in deep and meaningful ways. So your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. That makes me think of the Five of Swords energy in the past, right? So maybe that was the problem. Like I was saying, that usually represents ego conflict. And to be fair, usually both parties are at fault in those situations, but could just be saying in the moment it felt good to do it that way, and now you're like, okay, that was kind of stupid. And then maybe that's where the reconciliation energy comes in. All right, and then the prosperity message says you have worked long and hard, your dreams are coming to fruition, and you want to hurry things along. You are the slow one moving languidly, yet still progressing right now, in a rhythm dictated by your authentic nature, the essence of your dream, and the will of the universe. Slow and steady wins the race. You will indeed win if you relax, stay the course, trust your intuition, and breathe. Okay, so maybe that's what this is referring to here as well. Like I said, if it is finances, I didn't get that much of a vibe, but maybe this is where the month where things start to correct themselves in that area. If you feel like things have been held up financially, like I said, maybe this was you feeling like you got passed over for promotion, let's say, for some of you. And now this is the month where it starts to fix itself. All right. And then next we had Stag Spirit. And this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. It says, take the lead. There's the artwork for it. And it's number 58, in case it has any significance for you. Alright, it says, whether or not you have set your intention to lead, you may have found yourself suddenly called to step up to the forefront of your life. Stag Spirit is a reminder that now is a time to heed the call to be sure, strong, and compassionate. Others will look to you, and you have it within you to see through the eyes of Stag Spirit and walk with confidence as you take on the responsibilities that are yours now and model integrity in all that you do in all your relationships. Be willing to see the best in others so that your compassionate heart keeps you on the right path. Stag Spirit wants you to know that your responsibilities now are to yourself too, for you are learning and developing new skills. The best in you is coming into view as you step forward with strength, knowing that Spirit supports you as you compassionately take the lead. You are a model for transformation now, sharing your experience, strength, and hope with others so they may grow and discover their best selves too. What a gift you are. Stay humble and authentic and walk your talk, for this is how a wise leader leads. So, maybe what that energy is pointing to there, if it is, that sounds almost more like finances, right? Maybe it is that maybe you did think, again, that maybe you got passed over for a promotion, right? Or maybe you initially told them you had to think about it, and then you start to think to yourself, oh man, did I wait too long? Did they offer it to someone else, right? And then maybe it turns out that they didn't. So that could be what's at play there. And then that could be what the artwork is pointing to with the Six of Pentacles there, right? It's almost like a leadership position. Like you're saying, okay, maybe you're passing on knowledge to people, right? That's what's going on there. So that's certainly a possibility as well for some of you. Now you actually had a second card come up from this deck as well. And that was Skunk Spirit. It says know your worth. And there's the artwork. And the number for this one is 54. So let me get the message for that for you as well. Okay, it says, what do you value? What do you believe in? Is your best, most authentic self on display? Skunk Spirit comes as a reminder that you can be proud of who you are and what you have accomplished. Know your worth. Not everyone will agree with you or share your values, but you can walk with your head high, knowing that when you express your integrity, others can feel your authenticity and will be inspired by it. Be who you are, and if your reputation precedes you, good. You have much to be proud of, and Skunk Spirit wants you to be your best self, the true you. Okay, so, that's a pretty cool message there, you know what I mean? But that could be what that's pointing to as well. Talking about being your most authentic self. Like I said, maybe at one point you were playing hard to get, and it backfired on you, and now you're like, all right, now I need to restore the balance here and, be myself. Coming into that pentacle energy too, of course, which is definitely your energy. So that could be what that's pointing to there. And then the last thing that I have is a mudra card. So if you guys didn't see last month, I pulled a mudra card rather for all the signs. And basically what a mudra is it's a hand gesture or pose that you basically would do while meditating. Usually you want to hold the pose for at least 5 minutes. Some of them they say 30 minutes, 45 minutes. For those of you who don't meditate often or at all, that might be a lot. So, 5 minutes is at least more reasonable. And what their purpose is really is to help free up blockages in your life. So it could be emotional, physical, you name it. And the one that came out for you guys, the keyword for it is awakening. And this is the actual mudra there, and it's the Nirvana mudra. So let's flip the card over so you guys can see what the messages are for it. Hold on. Alright. So if you guys want to, pause the video to read that or take a screenshot, you can. And then I'll actually move it up a bit as well so you can see the rest. So there's a lot on this card, so Okay, so as you could see, for benefits, it says weakens ego grasping, reduces selfish desire for personal gain from spiritual practice, awakens the heart of compassion, serves as a ritual gesture to conclude any practice, as well as a simple way to dedicate the merit. Um, and then there was also a note for this one too, so I'll just move it up a bit if you guys wanted to read that. And what I'll do as well is I'll actually put the name of this in the description of the video in case you guys wanted to look into it some more, whether do a Google search or maybe even see if they have videos about it on YouTube. That's certainly possible. But yeah, that was all I had for you guys this month. So, I mean, if you want a personal reading, you could hit up the About section of my page for more info on that. And you could also follow me on Instagram if you want to, check it out. We have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology there, so you might be interested in that. But if not, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.